Then they say A is the midpoint of QR, and B, for which they give you the coordinates, is the midpoint of PR. And then they ask you to determine the coordinates of A. What is A? Wat is A? Lees jou beskrywing. Midpoint of what? QR. Do we have the coordinates of Q and R? Good. Calculate A. Kom. I'm only going to do 5.1 and 5.2 with you. And then I'm going to give you a tip. And the rest you're doing for homework. So for the x value of A, we are going to say 5 minus 1 over 2, which is equal to 2. Do you guys agree? Onthou jy tel die 2 bymekaar en dan deel jy dit deur 2. Vir die y-waarde van A, gaan ons sê dis minus 5 minus 3 gedeel deur 2. So dis minus 4. In other words, the coordinates of A is 2 and minus 4. Remember, you're not subtracting them from one another, you're adding them. So it's not a minus minus. No? Guys are frick. Then they say determine the values of A and B. Nou daarvoor moet jy kyk, daar lê A en B. And for that, we are going to use this piece of information where they say B is the midpoint of PR. Because I know then that A plus minus 1 divided by 2 will give you 1. Want die x-waarde van P, wat A is, plus die x-waarde van R, gedeel deur 2, moet mos vir my die x-waarde van die middelpunt gee. Do you guys see that? The x value of the one plus the x value of the other one divided by 2 must give me the x value of the midpoint. So now I times by 2 on both sides. So then I have A minus 1 is equal to 2. So A is equal to 3. Yeah? Do B as well. Okay, stem julle saam, B plus minus 3 gedeel deur 2, sit reg op jou masker. Gedeel deur 2 moet gelyk wees aan 3. Hoekom? Want die middelpunt van daai lyn se y-waarde is 3. You see, so I'm taking the two y values, adding them together, divided by 2, it must be equal to 3. So then it's as easy as saying B minus 3 is equal to 6. So B will be equal to 9. Now remember, this is a coordinate. Okay. En voordat jy aangaan met die res van die som, is my raad vir jou om dit wat jy het nou op 'n vlak te gaan teken. Now you don't have to mark it off by the millimeter, but it has to be more or less correct as to not confuse you. Okay. Goed, so ek gaan net daai nou ook gou aandui en dan wil ek net gou vinnig vir julle iets anders sê. So I would go and draw that triangle. Okay, write this down for yourself somewhere. When we're busy with inclination and you have a negative gradient, then you are going to work with an obtuse angle. So let's say this one, that line has a gradient of -1.5. Sien julle, dis 'n dalende lyn, so hy het 'n negatiewe gradient. You guys see it's a descending line, right? And descending lines have negative gradients. But then if I'm looking for theta, I'm looking for that obtuse angle. So if ever you see you have a negative gradient, you have to say tan of theta is equal to -1,5. And then be careful. You're going to say theta is equal to 180 degrees minus whatever you get when you type shift tan 1.5 in. Like we did with the trigonometry. Onthou julle toe het ons mos ook gewerk met 'n kwadrant en dan 'n verwysingshoek. That's basically what you're doing here, because you're saying that tan is negative in quadrant 2, and in quadrant 2 we find our obtuse angles. But you don't have to understand that now. It's more important that you guys remember this. If you have a negative gradient, then you type into your calculator shift tan 1.5 sonder die minus. And then theta will be equal to, and do you guys see that value is an obtuse angle? Sien julle dit? Dis 'n stomphoek. Né? En hierdie lyk mos ook soos 'n stomphoek. So make sure when you are working out the angle of inclination, as soon as you see a negative gradient, dan moet jy weet jy gaan sê 180 grade minus die hoek wat jy op jou sakrekenaar kry.